This will be the 3-4 notes for 7th grade. Just doing percent proportions. These are notes that we did in class already, but I'm going to go over it one more time on this, and then I'm going to take a look at parts of the homework as well. What we're going to be looking at is the part over whole comparison. We'll find the numbers for it, and then we're just going to try to figure out what percent something is out of 100, because percents are out of 100. This number right here is always going to be our percent. Sometimes we will say is over of, if that works better for you. But if I'm talking about, I think the topic we had in 5th period today was 2,973 pieces of candy. If I had that would how many pieces of candy I have. That is the whole amount of candy that I have. So that's why the whole would go down here, the of. If I decided that I was going to give out a majority of my candy, I'm going to make up a number for right now. Let's say I decided to give out 96% of all the candy that I had. So that'd be 96% out of 100. Well, out of that 2,973 pieces of candy that I have, I would give out almost all of it. That's why it's 96%, 96 out of 100. The is would be the actual amount that I gave out. So now I'm going to start going through some of these. We'll go through the examples real quick, and then we'll take a look at a couple of other problems as well. So example 1, the question, it says what percent, meaning we do not know the percent. This is the thing that we are trying to find right here. We do not have a number that we can assign to that. It says what percent of 24. So that is going to be our whole, our entire amount. So 24 is going to be our whole. And sorry, I know I keep reading parts of the question at a time. And then it says what percent of 24 is 18. So that is 18. Those two are going to go together. From here, there are multiple ways to go at it. You guys just need to choose whichever you are most comfortable with. I always recommend cross multiply and then divide by the lonely guy. So I would do 18 times 100 and then divide that number by 24. So when I multiply these two together, I end up getting 1,800 here. Move a little bit. And then I take that number and I divide it by that blue 24 that's over there. When I divide these two, we get 75. That's supposed to be a 5 right there, pardon the sloppy handwriting. So our answer would be 75%. Just going back to the candy example for a second, this would be like, let's see, if I had 24 pieces of candy and I decided to give 18 to the class, I would have given out 75% of the candy that I had. Now take a look at example 2. It says what number is 60% of 150? So the important part is what number is. So that's the number that we do not know. So that's our part because we do is over of. So there's my is. And 60%, this percents always have to go with 100. So I'm going to put my 60 right here. And then finally it says of 150. So my 150 will go down here on my whole part. So again, cross multiply, divide by the lonely guy. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my two numbers that are diagonal from each other. I would multiply those two numbers and then divide by 100. When I multiply these two numbers, I get 9,000. And I'm going to take that, I'm going to use that number there, and I'm going to divide by 100. For those that are comfortable with it, I mean, you can do the long division if you want to, but these zeros cancel out, and I'm left with 90 over 1. So my number is going to be 90 that I'm looking for. I originally thought that I would start going through some of these these exercises, but we did a bunch of these in class, so I'm actually going to go ahead and jump over to the homework section for those that are watching this at night and want a little bit of extra help with just the homework part. So this is the homework 3-4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and set up every one of these right off the bat. In fact, actually, I'm going to zoom out for a second just so you guys can see what this looks like. So pretty much all of these are going to have the same format. Blank equals blank over 100. So now taking a look at number 1. This one gives me a percentage. So I'm going to go ahead and take, and whatever that percent is, I'm going to go ahead and put that one over 100. And then it says 50 is, meaning 50 has to go up top. It says 50 is 20% of what number, meaning I'm solving for my number down here on the bottom. I'm actually going to work these out, but again, you just cross multiply, divide by the lonely guy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and set all these up for you, and then you guys are on your own after that. Number 2 says what percent of 20 is 4. So my what percent is what I'm looking for. I need to know what this is. And this is of 20, so I'm going to put my 20 down here on the bottom. and then is 4. So my 4 is going to go right there. On number 3, it says what number is 70%. So what number is my question. This is the thing that I'm looking for. That 70% is going to go for the 100. And then of 250, that's going to go down here on the bottom because that is my whole. Number 4, 10 is. So I'm going to take that 10. It's going to go right there because it's my part. Is 5%. So percents always go over the 100. Of what number? Meaning that we are looking for the of. Number 5, what number is? Meaning that is what we are looking for. That's our is. We don't know this thing yet. Is 45%. 45 will go over the 100. And then of 180. Of has to go on the bottom. Number 4, 40% gives it to me right off the bat, so I'm going to put that 40% above 100. Of what number? Meaning we don't know what the number is. So my of is my whole, so that will go down here. And finally, is 82. 82 will go up here. Number 7, what percent of 90 is 36? So what percent, meaning this is what we are looking for. So my percent will go up here. Of 90, that is the whole. So 90 goes down here. It says is 36. We are looking for this. This is what we want to know. Number 8. 60 is 25% of what number? So 60 is, that's our part. 60 will go up here. 25%, percents always go over 100. And of what number, meaning this is what we are looking for. 2 more. What number is? This is the thing that we don't know. That's what we want to find. Is over of 32%. So 32 over 100. It says of 1,000 being my whole part. And finally, number 10 says what percent of, meaning we are looking for the percent. What percent? This is the thing that we want to find out. Of 125 being our whole. It says is 5. That's what we, that's our part. So is over of. So these are pretty much completely set up for you guys. All you have to do is cross multiply, divide by the lonely guy. For those that want to learn how to scale, you could do, if on number 2, if I want to get from 20 to 100, I would multiply times 5. And it's completely possible to do the same thing up top. I would do 4 times 5 to get my answer. And that's a very sloppy looking times 5, but hopefully you guys are okay with that. I'm having to do this on my phone this evening. Same pattern works on number 4. It's just going backwards. So what I could do is I could go from 5 to 10. I would be doing that times 2. So to get from 100 to X, I would still do times 2. If you're not comfortable with the scaling, that's completely fine. Cross multiply, divide by the lonely guy will always give you what you were looking for on these. Sometimes the numbers are just a little more complicated. If you have any other questions, come into tutorials and ask me.